what was the scariest moment out there, man? Messing with Eazy.
Scariest moment rolling with Eazy?
Yeah.
Actually, it has something to do with Toker crazy ass. Toker was doing a video and he invited Eazy to come over. And we took Eazy over there. The Tobio twins was there. Ed Silver was there. That was our gopher. And me and Big Mike was there and shit, right? And it was a guy from Brownside just wanted to see Eazy, just wanted to talk to Eazy. Toker was like, telling him, man, chill out, man. Let Eazy parlay, man. He'll holler at you in a minute. This guy just kept on fucking around and shit. All of a sudden, Toker took his shit out and shot the fool in the thigh. Ah, bitch, I told you to come the fuck down,
wow.
man. Just started running, dog. you know. So we started running, man. That was one of my hypothetical situations, man. Rolling with East, man. And another one of my hypothetical situations was I was rolling with Jerry. Like sometime me and MD would take Jerry out to the restaurant, or sometime we would go by ourselves. One night I went by myself because MD he was like doing some on In Living Color back then because he was acting a little bit. So I was with Jerry Heller by myself. And he was getting drunk and talking to his girlfriend, and she
Gail.
was like, yeah, Gail.
Yeah.
She was like at her place, and her ex-boyfriend was there, and she wanted him gone, and he wouldn't leave. And Jerry Heller and me was headed over there. And as we was going over there, I'm a soldier. I'm gonna do whatever you tell me to do, because that's just what I do. You tell me to fuck him up, I'm gonna fuck him up. Whatever you tell me to do is done. That's just how it was back then. And while we was going, Jared pulled his gun out and was shooting at signs and shit. As we was getting closer to the house, he was practicing. I'll make sure I don't miss his ass. He was shooting at signs. So I eased in there and got my phone out, and I called Mike Klein. Jerry didn't see me because he was drunk hanging out the window. I was like, Mike, look, man, me and Jerry going over to this girl's house. The ex-boyfriend's supposed to be there. Jerry got his gun, shooting out the window, and I don't know what the fuck gonna happen, man. I got to do whatever you say once we get there. You better do something fast because we're already almost there. Mike Klein said, Animal, give Jerry the phone. He gave, Jerry, here the phone is, man. Somebody want to talk to you. He got the phone. All of a sudden, you hear Jerry say, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Animal, take me home. I don't know what the hell Mike Klein said to him, but he got my ass out of hot water, man. Over there, man. Whatever Jerry told me to do to the fool, I gotta do it, but that's just what we do, man.
Right.
So I took him home and shit. Then I had to go in his house. I never go in there by myself and search. That time I went in his house because I was by myself. I had to go through his whole house and search his house because he wouldn't go in his house and that's search because So then I called Mike and told him I done put him to bed and shit, man. So me and Mike laughed about it and shit, man. I was like, I'm so glad you saved my ass because I didn't know what I had to do when I got over there, man.
Animal.
Yeah.
What was all the threats about? The threats was about from Suge or just general threats?
Say what?
What was all the threats about? Why was it there was so much security needed? I mean, was it the Suge thing or what?
It was a lot of threats from Death Row, Suge, and just a lot of people that rolled with Death Row just wanted to start shit with us, man, because, they was growing, we was growing. The Suge wanted the power, Eazy-E wanted the power. Who gonna get the power at the end of the motherfucking rainbow? And Suge, man, they was like doing crazy shit, man, but Eazy, he was like more laid back, man. We wasn't doing crazy shit like Death Row, man. Every week we hear about them beating up somebody, hanging somebody's ass out of a window, jumping on somebody, and shit, man. We was more professional. We didn't fuck with you unless you fuck with us.
Man, Jerry Heller had a little gangsta in him. I mean, you had to back then. when you're dealing with people like Suge Knight, when you're dealing with other people who want to take your position, you had to be a gangster back then. But Jerry Heller is interesting. His story is very interesting. I would have loved to interview him while he was alive. Unfortunately, he passed a few years back, and I'll never get the chance. But Jerry Heller, by most accounts, was the best thing that ever happened to NWA. Of course, Alonzo Williams founded them, but Jerry Heller gave them the backing, the millions and millions of dollars, and pushed them to the moon. So he was a key figure in the growth of NWA. But he has a very interesting story, and by most accounts, he did really good for NWA. He did right by them. Of course, there were contracts that artists didn't agree with. But that's how it was back then. When you're an up-and-coming artist, you signed a shitty contract. It is what it is. It was what it was, and it's going to happen for eternity. There are artists right now still signing shitty contracts. But from what I understand, and the people who I have spoke with who are in the know, Jerry Heller helped out NWA so much, and he did more good than bad. Of course, you're going to have the people who have a sour taste in their mouth for Jerry, so no matter what you say, they're always going to say he was the bad guy. Of course, in Straight Outta Compton, he was portrayed as the money-hungry bad guy who screwed the group, and he's the reason everyone left and broke up. Some of that could be true. But once again, we're dealing with contracts here. We're dealing with the person who's been in the music business for quite some time. And he knew what he was doing. And everyone has a choice. And each member of NWA had a choice to sign those contracts. But what do you guys think about Jerry Heller and his legacy? Do you think he was a good thing for NWA, or do you think he was a bad thing for NWA? Please comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And please hit that like button if you haven't already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you liked this clip, you might also enjoy this bonus clip from my channel that I'm about to play for you now. Ladies and gentlemen, on the line, Trayvon Cash. What up, man?
Life is good. It's like I said before, it's an honor and a pleasure and a blessing to always be a part of your show and kick back and politic about life.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I definitely want, your advice on some things that have been happening recently in hip hop and the world and stuff like that. But I also want to tap in on some of the stuff that we didn't really get to touch base on. You did mention it in our last interviews, but we didn't really touch base. So I'm kind of I'm a bounce all over the place, man. But it's always a good conversation.
I'm glad you do, because my mind is everywhere.
Yeah, same here. I'm not diagnosed with ADD, but I kind of feel like I have it. But it's all gravy. It keeps me busy, man.
I see we have something in common.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, let's jump back into it, man. Before we even tap into some of the stuff we talked about last time, give everybody, from your perspective, the good, the bad, and the ugly about growing up in Long Beach.
I'll start with the good. Since you said, I'll go in that order right there. I'll start with the good. The camaraderie between people. It was like we lived as a village. Whereas today you barely know your neighbor. You knew everybody in the whole city, in your whole, not just your neighborhood, but everybody in that whole side of town almost. And just the joy of being able to mingle and hang around everyone. You know what I mean? The blend of people we had out there. That was really good out there. I had a really good upbringing that way. The bad, of course, is like I say, is when the drug scene flooded out there in the early '80s, and I've seen it go from a lot of camaraderie to a lot of. That's when it changed to people now warring against each other. When before we was together, and it kind of broke us apart. So the bad part of it, of course, was
the cocaine epidemic that flooded the United States at that time, you know. And I don't know if I could say too much ugly with all the fine women out there, you know what I mean?
The
I grew
most
up,
beautiful women in the world, in my opinion. I've been all over the world.
You know?
And we have some of the most beautifulest women, just all mixes, races, creeds, colors.
Yeah. I plucked my wife right from there, and I've been with her for 33 years, you know, so.
Love it.
We not only grew up in that same neighborhood, but we got that same upbringing, that old school values that we got, you know?
Yeah, I love it, man. Ain't a place like it in the world, in my opinion. Let's talk about something else that we kind of tapped into last time that you mentioned. But you mentioned that the Insanes were the biggest gang at that time, and I believe you said it was 4-1, if I'm not mistaken, at one point. Explain how hard it was being from the 20s and the 80s when you're surrounded by your enemy.
Yeah, that was a cold. It's like I tell individuals, you know, Insane in the 20s, they shared the same neighborhood, East Side, Long Beach. So, and not only the same neighborhood, our hoods was birthed off the same street, 21st Street. So, our other hoods and gangs war with each other, and they have separate territories. We began the war with people who we share the same territory with. So that's, in an instance, there was no safe area. You know what I mean? Because your neighborhood is the same neighborhood of the gang that you're now warring with, and it's a funny thing because like most of us, we're mostly related through a marriage, you know. So it almost looked like a family start warring with each other during that time. And for me, like I said, it was extremely violent because of the neighborhoods being in the same area. You couldn't really go anywhere without thinking. When they say never leave your house without your gun, you did not leave without it. You took it with you like a wallet, and it mattered not where you went. You can get right into some mess. You know, it was many of times. I tell people that there's some people been in the service, and I've been shot at more times than them, and I've never been in the service. That shouldn't happen in the street.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, because of that, you know, our close proximity of each other. The violence was, man, it was through the roof because it was really easy to catch up with an enemy when they're around the corner.
Yeah. Forgive me if we talked about this before, but I think mental health in our community is a very important thing. You know, people who have went to Afghanistan, Iraq, you know, places like that, they come home and they have PTSD, you know, from gunshots and being shot at and things like that. Do you, I'm assuming you have some sort of PTSD, and maybe you can explain, you know, certain situations, you know, that, I don't know, you hear a firework and some shit, you know what I mean? Can you explain that?
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, living in that environment, you tend to have to be aggressive towards everyone. I've seen a lot of people settle their arguments with murder, you know, and you know, during any wartime, and you see a lot of violence, a lot of one of my first instances was when I seen a girl get killed, probably about 2 houses up the street from where we were at.
Yeah.
And to see her body riddled with those bullet wounds, and to see her gasping her last breath of saying, "Can you help me?" That's things that burn in your memory for life, you know. And I tell people right now that I've seen enough violence. It's the reason why I try to speak against violence, because during that time, you've seen so much to where you start becoming desensitized and violence become normal. And that society, of course, when violence becomes normal, wow, is why it was one of the most deadliest times, you know. But yeah, not only me, it's something that I speak to a lot of my friends with, and a lot of people getting out of prison. You know, there's a lot of people that got to reintroduce themselves back into life back from prison the same way, you know, to where in prison, I was talking with a coworker tonight, and he's a white guy. And he was telling me about how his brother got out, and all the you know, the stuff he went through in prison, how he came out. He went in a normal guy. He came out a racist. He can't stand blacks, Mexicans, and this and that. He said he wasn't like that prior to he went in. So his environment switched and changed him. You know, there's a lot of people out there that's still caught up in that environment and settle their differences with murder. That's the only way they know how to settle differences. And there's a lot of scarred people out there. You know, you imagine the drug use, the scarred people. It's the reason why our neighborhoods are still the same way that they are.
Yeah.